Season 5 of Mind Over Music. I'm your host, Sean Modi, and so happy to be with everyone this evening. Tonight, we have a very fun and special episode, including one of my favorite people in our community. Mr. Dhamani is joining us here on our show. Danish is Forbes 30 under 30. He is the founder of an incredible voice platform called Orai, and it is using AI technology to help bring people and empower their public speaking skills and their speech skills as well. Here he is, the one and only Dhamani. Danish, thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. Super
Yes.
excited. We have some exciting topics to talk about today.
Yes, we do. You do. It all started with a little crazy hot flash dream of mine, and it was the idea that I was in the movie Dune 2, and as we know the a little bit of history. Imam al-Mahdi, who is known as the Al-Ghaib, he was played by Timothy Chalamet in this movie Dune. And one of the problems that they had was obviously this thing around food and spice, but there was a shortage of water, and they were conserving water in every step of this movie. And I woke up thinking, AI is going to be able to solve this thing, right? Like how how is this going to be an issue or a problem in the future with a little bit of materials management and really understanding the physics of water and wind, and all of that. The Earth is 2/3 water, and taking that and thinking about, have you seen the movie The Big Short
I
with
have
Michael
one
Lewis?
of my
Yeah.
favorite movies.
Yeah, incredible, right? And Michael Lewis thinks that water is going to be the next resource that's going to be on demand, and it's going to cause a huge economic crisis, and that's probably more political than it is having a shortage of water that covers the earth, more so than we have land. And so we think about these issues, we think about some of these challenges, even with climate change. We know that we can reforest most of the ocean, that they would absorb 70% of carbon output that we have. So a lot of these challenges and issues that we kind of grew up with, in this kind of a dystopian future that we're thinking that we might have, I think is so far away from the actual reality of what we're going to face in a world of AI.
You sound like a tech optimist, someone who believes that technology will solve all our problems.
Not to say that we're not going to have problems. I think there's going to be a ton of problems, but I just hear the rhetoric and the hopelessness of people in our generation, in other generations, and they just feel like the world is such a horrible place. Everything that's going on in Gaza with Palestine, and our community there. They believe that this is the worst time in history to live, and that's objectively not true. We have less wars, we have more abundance in every aspect of our life, and all of that is led to technology, things that you're working on.
Yeah, you're right. Human beings are short-sighted.
Yeah.
They see things in a local minima or maxima, but they don't see the global
Yes.
aspect, right? If you just take 2, 3 steps back and look at things at a high level, the quality of life of the human race has only increased. The trend is up, and
Yes.
there's nothing telling us that the trend is going to go down.
Yeah.
Longevity, average age that people live to, has increased. And at old age, people are living healthier as well because of advancements in technology, in
And
healthcare.
healthcare. Yeah. Absolutely. And think about.
Education is improving.
Yeah.
Yes, one can argue that STEM graduates in the United States of America are declining, and certain math skills, English skills, and science skills are declining. Perhaps that's just a temporary blip. You
Yeah.
have to look at things from a high level and take a step back. So I 100% on your same page. Human quality of life is increasing, and technology plays a big role in doing that.
And think about average literacy. I mean, you created Orai, and you have to be able to read in order to use the app. And I'm sure, when you give access to a technology like this, software solutions, access to the internet, the conduit to this is literacy. The conduit to it is the ability to think and search. The average level of intelligence per capita has increased astronomically, and these logarithmic changes in adaptation, in quality of life, it almost is in the background, and it's seemingly okay. The thing that everyone is severely complaining about today is in the younger generations, is that they can't have access to the American dream, they can't afford housing, and they can't use their degree in order to advance themselves. I don't really see the issue here. Like, I don't see the problem. If you think about the average education level, it's just people who are making choices, and the amount of people who are not caught in the social safety net were also people that couldn't complain on the internet, right? So they didn't have the voice that we have today. And when you go across the world, 400 million people, China in the last 30 years was able to pull 400 million people out of severe poverty. I mean, think about the economic growth for the human race, and the ability to create even keel and stability, across countries, across borders, and just being able to give access to education, to food, to opportunities. It's incredible.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. So today's topic, I wanted to kind of dispel this idea around dystopia, right? And I did want to make this a much more optimistic, but also a very realistic future. I wanted to get your thoughts around, the idea of singularity. Maybe if you wanted to talk a little bit about singularity from your standpoint, and maybe you can, bring a perspective to that, and what that means for human civilization, for human stability, for even things like when we think about becoming an intergalactic species, an interstellar species, things of that sort. Let's get into the future. Let's talk about what the singularity movement is, how AI is kind of becoming the backbone to that.
Let's define singularity. I think there's a lot of different definitions. Here's my understanding of it
Yeah,
is when we reach a certain level of technology where technology is so advanced that that's it. The human race just falls behind. There
right.
becomes something like super intelligence. And it's so intelligent that every second it's only getting more intelligent. And it's thinking, whoa, humans are so dumb. Why do we even need humans on this earth? Hey, I need all the energy in this world to continue thriving because
Right.
I'm super intelligent. And now I believe human species is a lower race than me. Let's kick them all out. And I can do that.
Yeah.
That's one understanding I have of what the popular understanding of singularity.
Singularity. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting because whenever I think about super intelligence and I think about the alien theory, right? When technology is in the hands of the human species, what we have done is just on repeat. It's a very predictable behavior cycle where we destroy everything and anything that competes against us. That's just the way that the human race has always worked. And so the thing that we're really scared of are aliens that have superior technology that are going to come in and then dominate us and then put us to the bottom of the food chain, which is what we've done as humans. I don't know if that is the end all be all. I don't know if this is going to be, the thing that creates uh, a chasm that is going to be sustainably, predictably the future. I think there is a possibility, there is a world where AI will take over, but not necessarily have to defeat or create this presumptive model that there's not enough energy to go around, if that makes sense.
100%. There is a probability where AI can do that. All these things that we're describing that you might see in sci fi shows where AI does become the enemy of the human race. There's a probability, but I believe the way they are being built today, they have a lot of safeguards and guardrails being put in place in order to avoid that kind of reality. So I don't believe that's going to happen, but everything is probability. There is a slim chance something like that can happen as well.
Yeah, I think what ends up happening is I think it's called the Kardashev scale. And when we think about human civilization and the advancement of civilizations in general, we have a main star, right? And the star is the Earth. And if we're able to generate and capture 100% yield of energy that the sun is pulling from, from its core, right, in its natural way of fission, right? Not fusion, fusion. Yeah, it's fusion, right? Yeah, it's hydrogen molecules going to helium. And so, the idea here is, how do we take all the energy output of our star and harness that in order to advance civilization? But in that mechanism, I think everything can exist and coexist together. And so, I think in one idea is, machines will build machines, and those machines will eventually eradicate the human species, but all species. And I think if that's the case, then, as we know, we're so humbly dependent on the ecosystem that we live in and the environment that we live in. For example, if the honeybees were to go extinct, it would create such a catastrophic event that most of the environment would break down overnight, and it would significantly reduce the amount of plant and life forms that would be able to sustain itself around Earth. And so, from that standpoint, I don't know if it's a zero sum game. I think that species need other species, whether it's the same level of intelligence or less. I don't think that this is going to be an extinctive event. I don't think we are creating an extinctive event for humans by creating super intelligence or by creating AI. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
And the people smarter than us who are building this, I'm sure they have thought this through as well.
Yeah, yeah, and you're one of the brilliant ones that are also building it. One thing that you've really focused in on over the past, 10 years, really, but over the most recent history is building these AI agents. Why don't we talk about the efficiency that AI agents are going to create? What we need to think about as we think about the type of AI agents that we want to integrate within our workflows, how we think about our economic output, how we think about work in general and fulfillment.
Well, if you have been reading all the AI news and the buzz around it, it's been saying that all your jobs are going to be replaced by agents. It's
Right.
going to be agentic workflows and the world of AI agents where you can hire an AI agent instead of hiring a human being
Mhm.
to do the job.
Right.
Just like any other news, things are a little exaggerated. Today, the best agents are those that do a very, very minute, mundane task perfectly.
Mhm.
Not complex things. One very fine tuned workflow, like going through all your emails, finding the top three questions and answers for your customer support and answering them. And that's it. It cannot do anything else. It's unable to see that you have been invited to a gala or to a conference. It gets confused if you try and do other stuff with it. So,
Right.
agents today, one small task, that's it.
Mhm.
Those are the best agents.
Yeah.
Now, there is the hope that tomorrow there will be general agents that can just do what human beings do. It's possible, it's just not there yet.
How far away are we, you think, from that?
They call this AGI, artificial general intelligence, meaning similar capabilities to the human brain,
Mhm.
ability to do things on a wide variety of tasks.
Yeah.
At least from what I'm reading, it's minimum 8 years away.
Wow. Wow. That's really interesting because, Bill Gates talks about this. He says we overestimate what we think will happen in 2 years, but we underestimate what we think will happen in 10 years. Right. So it's always.
Yeah, we again, human beings short-sighted, and our notion of what's big and small just changes every single time depending on the thing. So yeah, agents today, they are working, they are real. People are using it, and if you're not using agents today or learning how to build them and use them, you are a little bit falling behind in terms of what the state of the art is. If you're just using ChatGPT and thinking that's enough for you to learn about AI and to be using AI, you're falling behind a little bit.
Yeah.
So
No,
agent is, I would say, the next iteration of what else do can any general population, and I mean anybody, like whether you're a 7-year old or you're a 55-year-old. Yes, ChatGPT has been very convenient and easy for us to use. And I think the next step is to learn how to build your own AI agent. Like I just built one this past week.
I
when I
saw that. That was really cool. And then you also put together a training program for people who are interested in doing it. Tell me how that worked, and what do you think you wanted your audience to take away from that?
I'm really passionate about helping people learn about AI. And I
Yeah.
think one of my superpowers is taking complex things and digesting them and explaining them that anybody can understand. So I did my research when I tried learning about agents. There's so much information out there, so many YouTube videos, so many articles, already courses you can pay thousands of dollars to learn how to build agents.
Right.
And I'm like, these are all very complicated.
Yeah.
Let me open a fresh whiteboard and start creating how I would teach what agents are.
Right.
And it was a challenge for me. I put a date. I didn't have the I didn't have the slides ready or what I'm going to teach. I just knew I'm going to teach this. Like
Yeah.
within 5 days, I said I'm doing this. I
Wow.
started marketing it, got like 10 people or 15 people registered. I'm like, okay, if I make mistake, no problem. And
Yeah.
then I wake up the morning of the webinar, I have 50 people RSVP'd, and I'm like, okay, now I'm nervous because I haven't really
10
I
people is okay.
10
Yeah,
people is
50
okay.
people, you got to be on it. Right.
We got like 45 people. It's more high stakes. I do public speaking, but my heart rate was going up,
Yeah.
and did a good job explaining agents. In fact, you came to me, you're like, hey, can you hop on this radio show with me?
Yep.
Someone else came to me and they're like, hey, we're organizing a conference on October 25th in Calgary, Canada.
Yep.
And we actually removed AI agents from our conference because we thought it was too complex to explain,
Oh
but you did such
man.
a good job. Can you come and explain it?
Amazing.
So things have popped up just because of doing a random 30-minute webinar. And now my friend and I, Nadim,
Mhm.
we are also doing a course. Like, hey, if you enjoyed this small 30-minute snippet of what you can do with AI,
Yep.
we're going to run a 3-week course starting next Sunday
Amazing.
that anyone can sign up for as well on maven.com.
Yeah. So yeah, tell us about it. Because actually, that's so funny. Maven is is a platform that we were associated with on Komodo at Komodo Health, which is also run by a Smiley CEO. So, but yeah, tell us a little bit about it and how people can find it.
Uh, just find me on LinkedIn. I'll share it with you, maybe with a discount code as well.
Yep.
But Maven is an amazing platform that allows you to learn concepts that
Mhm.
are usually not taught in colleges or schools, where it's state of the art stuff that's just recent in a cohort. Human beings learn best not by just watching YouTube videos or reading books. Human beings learn best in a community environment, in a cohort of 10 people, of 20 people who are like minded. And every week or multiple times a week, you're joining this live Zoom call and learning. So our course is going to be 3 weeks long. It's divided into three different sessions.
Mhm.
Session one, you learn the overall landscape about AI, again, in a simpler way. What is AI? What is just using ChatGPT? How is it different from agents? How is it different from an app? How is it different from a workflow? What is an LLM? Should I build my own things or should I just use this? Which one should I use? How's the data private? What is the ethical well, that's all session one. And then session two is, okay, now you know about this. Why don't you find an example in your personal life or in your business life that you can automate?
Yep.
Let's find things you can save 30 minutes a week and build an AI for that. And then session three, you demo to your cohort. So that's
Wow,
something we're running starting next
that's
Sunday.
amazing. That's amazing. So landscape, automate, and then demo it.
Yes.
That's a yeah, very practical way of moving forward through it. I think when our audience listens to this, there's obviously there's a chasm now, right? And there's going to be people who use AI and use agents, and there's going to be people who don't. It's very similar to the technological revolution, right? There's people who use smartphones versus those who don't. There's people who go to digital versus those who stay in analog. Let's talk about the chasm that's going to create, and is it greater than any other chasm that we've seen so far since the Industrial Revolution?
I don't know about greater because it's so hard to say, but I can say these were our prior analogous events. Let's take the Industrial Revolution. Before Industrial Revolution, everyone was a farmer. Everyone had a farmland. They were growing their own things, and that's how society worked. And then here came someone saying, you don't need to plow your thing. You can just use a machine to automatically plow your land and to put seeds and to water it and to harvest it. All of that using one machine instead of 20 laborers. And people did not believe it the same day. It took time. It took time. And so, yes, there were those who were still farming, and then there were those who were using machines.
Right.
But over time, let's say 100 years, then it's fully proliferated.
Yeah.
Same with digital and analog. In the 2000s, people used to have, let's say, analog phones, right? um, People didn't have mobile phones. Most people, they
Mhm.
had like dial-up connections and all of that. And then your Nokias came, and then your Blackberries came, and there was again another revolution. Some people were using it, some people were not using it, and then everyone started having a mobile phone.
Right.
Then in a shorter period of time, there was your non-smartphone, and then your smartphone. There were two people, different categories. And then within 10 years, that's gone. Now everybody has a smartphone.
Yeah.
Similarly, with AI, there are people who are using AI and there are people who are not using AI. In another 3 years, I believe, everybody will be using an AI.
Yeah.
And then you can go even one step deeper. There are people who are using agents and there are people who are not using agents. There will be that. And then ultimately, I promise you, in 3 years, 5 years, everybody will have an agent.
I completely agree. Yeah, yeah. It's just the evolution of what's going to end up happening because it's just going to become early adopters, and then it's going to come into the mainstream, the mainframe, and then everyone else is going to start
And
jumping on
so,
board.
and so those who are listening to this today, you have a choice. You have a choice with another revolution happening in the human species. Your choice is stay ahead or stay behind. There is no middle ground.
Right.
You either stay ahead by learning about these things like AI agents, about ChatGPT, and trust me, it sounds complex, but it's not. Come to me, I'll teach you. It's easy to understand if you can just tell yourself, I'm ready and I'm adaptable.
Yeah, and Danish is on all the platforms. So if you're on Facebook, if you're on LinkedIn, whatever it is, check out Danish Dhamani, Dhamani, and connect with him. I think one thing that we think about, uh, in the difference, because a lot of people are scared of the future, and sometimes the reason why they don't adopt is because they're scared of what they might find. Let's talk about that. Let's double click into that as it relates to being left behind, because I think it's interesting. You made the point that there's going to be people who are users and there are people who are not users. The average intelligence of people who are users versus not, I don't think that there's significantly that great of a difference.
There
It's
is no difference. There is
yeah,
no
there's no difference, right? So the people who have access to an analog phone, and they decided not to use a smartphone, versus everyone who's on TikTok and Instagram and using smartphones. The people who are using smartphones may have access to the world's knowledge base, but have absolutely no additional knowledge, right? So it's kind of like, do you remember that meme where it had the stack of ladders where they don't know how to use the ladders, so it's just stacked, but one person knows actually how to use ladders, so they were able to get over the wall, right?
I haven't seen that.
Okay, I'll share it with you guys, and I'll clip it to this. But it's really interesting because it's how you're able to use the tool.
Yes, it's about using the tool. Like you can give someone a ladder, I think that's the example. And if you don't know how to use it, you're not going to use it. So everyone has access to the tool. Everyone has ChatGPT. Everyone has tools now to build agents. Like some of them are make.com, Gumloop. Google has a new one called Opal. I like relay.app. Lindy.ai is another one. You have access to these tools. You have access to these ladders. In 30 minutes, you can build something.
Yeah, it's funny. The example of the ladders was the guy just started stacking ladders like this, like it was pieces of paper, and he just couldn't get over the wall. While one person uses the ladder, uses it the right way, and is able to climb, you know, 12, 15 feet, right? So, it doesn't matter how many tools you use. If you don't know how to use the tool, then you're going to be kind of stuck in the same issue and challenge. And most people don't use the tool in order to actually educate themselves and advance themselves. I think that's another challenge that we all have is, what are we doing with the tool that we have? Are we making a mundane task easily and more audible, or we automate a task in order to do what? In order to have more free time, or in order to become more efficient, or in order to become more intelligent, or to become more innovative, or to move the human species along, right? These are the ways that we have to kind of integrate, why it's so important to integrate our ethics, our morals, our values, which creates the distinguishment whenever we start integrating AI tools into our daily workflows.
Yes, yes. So one of the best tools we all have access to is just Google.
Yeah.
I want to learn X, I want to learn Y, and you can learn it.
Yeah.
It's not about your IQ, it's not about your intelligence, it's not about your background, how much money you have, what race you grew up in. It's your willingness. That's
Your
it.
curiosity.
And your curiosity, yeah.
Yeah. Because I thought about this. I was like, if I were to write a book, I think the book would be based on how the philosophy of curiosity killed the cat is the worst thing that you could possibly teach a child, right? Curiosity is what creates this genius, right? This ability to be able to solve problems in a unique way, to think about the world and to interact with the world in a unique way. And I think that's so much more important than being scared of what might be on the other side. This is why we've kind of faced a lot of the challenges that we see today in technology, and why people don't adopt, or they're too scared to adopt new technologies.
Yeah, I love curiosity. In fact, I'll add, if you are a curious person, you're going to live longer. I have this uncle of mine. His name is Jafar Uncle. And he is so curious.
Yeah.
Every week he'll WhatsApp me. He's like, so what can I learn from you today? Okay, then
Wow.
here, teach me this.
Yeah.
Your mind stays sharp when you're curious. Doesn't matter what you're learning, the fact that you're learning every week, you will still live longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Your quality of life improves, it increases. Your problems don't seem as big when you're curious, right? It's the same as I remember I had a friend that said, if you want to not be depressed, help other people. Like, focus on. Oh, and that's helped me so much. So yeah, sorry, my camera just keeps turning off, and so I don't know what's going on with the studio camera. But yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the challenges is when people focus on their problems too much, then they're unable to progress in their own lives, and then they just stay stuck in this everlasting loop.
Yeah. It's, again, you're either a pessimist or you're an optimist.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true. Danish, I want to, before we end the show, I do kind of want to. I do want to also define singularity from my standpoint, and the idea that I think of when I think of singularity is that there is no human decision that is made in a world where super AI and or general AI, super AI exists, where a human decision cannot actually affect the impact or the outcome of any decision that the human makes. I think that's the moment of singularity. And so if I decide to do X, there's going to be a cascade of events that super artificial intelligence kind of takes over or is able to impact to where my decision doesn't make a difference.
Mm.
Yeah. And that, I guess, is a little sad. But I think there is something to be said about um, having you kind of playing with the technology and kind of enjoying the ride until we get to that moment.
Yeah,
And I don't know whether that's going to be the next 10 years or the next 1,000 years, but it is the ride that we're now on, and we kind of have to understand what that feels like or looks like, or if it's even possible, right? There might be a possibility that that'll never happen, that humans will always be able to make a decision in a split second, better, faster, or um, a different decision than what is predictably laid out by a supercomputer.
yeah,
There might just be like safe fails that AI will never be able to cross over from that standpoint.
yeah.
Yeah. So
And I
go
would
ahead.
also add that you have people who are who are thinking as doomer mentality, like world is doomed.
Yeah.
Why should I even continue living? Why
Right.
should I continue investing in stuff? Let's just be passive and just watch Netflix all day long, you know?
Right.
And then there are those who are very excited about the future. And one way I believe is a more fun way of living life. Like, let's say even if in 10 years the world is ending,
Hmm.
living in a pessimistic way versus an optimistic way, it's still fun to live the next 10 years in a very optimistic way. Life
Yeah.
is amazing. And just the present moment in itself is so beautiful. And
Yeah.
so those who are thinking about 10 years from now, 50 years from now, that the world is going to be doomed, what about right now? Right now, you have your one breath. You have this moment right now. You are listening to this. You have the intelligence and the ability to open a computer or phone and to listen and to even process some of these things to random strangers on the internet are talking about. That in itself is something to be grateful about in this present moment.
Yeah. Why do you think the youth or people in general, why do you think that they're not as um, open to being in a space of gratitude? Right. I mean, this is such a beautiful statement that you just made, but a lot of people just don't get it. Why do you think that is?
It's the world. The world has shows you all these things in the media that it's depressing, that there are wars happening, there's hunger happening, there's sickness happening, there's famine happening, and there's arguments happening. And if that's all what you are going to see, then you have this negative energy inside you. So even being able to offer gratitude, which is a more positive energy, it
Yeah.
just becomes harder if that's not how your environment is. And so you are the product of the five people you hang out with. So you
Mm.
really have to be very careful of how you create those five people. Are you hanging out with people who, when you meet on a Friday evening, Saturday daytime, are you all just complaining about your life and about the gossip about this person's couple's life and their kids and what's happening in this? Are you hanging out with those people, or are you hanging out with people who are talking about, wow, I'm so grateful to be with you today,
Right.
so lucky to be surrounded by friends like you? What is the energy that you're getting? Be mindful of that. If you're getting this energy, it's hard to be grateful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people have to really fight their natural sense of survival. We have this limbic system, and our limbic system just teaches us the four F's, right? Which is go find food, right? Flight, fight, food, and then the fourth is reproducing. And I think in that moment, you're constantly just trying to survive. You're saying, okay, what do I need to do? What is the thing that I need to watch out for? What is the danger? And when you have media that is constantly showing a light on all the negative things, we forget that it's actually not that big of a deal. It's not that everyone is poor and everyone is suffering. It's you're seeing moments of suffering and moments of examples that are you might not feel equality, right? You might feel that people are being taken advantage of, or there's a genocide that's happening compared to the rest of society in the history of humankind. This is the most peaceful period that we've ever experienced in our civilization
Yeah.
from the last 10,000 years that humans have existed as a species.
Hard to imagine that, right? Even using the words, this is the most peaceful time in the world, it's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
But objectively, it is true. But what does media sell? If media was talking about, oh, look at this family living in here, they're so happy. And
Everyone's happy. Right.
here's 100 other families who are happy, and this family is going on vacation with their kids. Is
When
that what
20
media?
years ago they weren't able to do that
Yeah.
because of X, Y, and Z and these economic factors and these things that were
Beautiful story,
happening.
but will people watch that story,
Nobody
or will
cared.
they watch war happening
Right.
and this bombing is happening and 100,000 people are dying?
Yep. Fight, flight, fight, flight, food, and F, right? And so that's why we have this addiction to the reproductive thing, right? We have fight or flight, which is media, and then food. We're obsessed. That's why we have diseases like diabetes and high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease and oncology, cancer. I work in precision oncology, and we see these cases just rise through the roof. All of it is food related. So the things that are really imbibing with our limbic system are the things that we naturally gravitate toward when we're not using our prefrontal cortex, when we're not using the spiritual centers of our brain to be more thoughtful, to have more gratitude, to feel less entitled to things, to watch those five people that are around us and really understand the type of energy that they're bringing into our lives. That is really seeing things and thinking through things from a higher level of our evolutionary brain. And I just don't see that a lot of people are doing that. They're just kind of stuck in this old way of thinking about things, and then we worry about why we're riddled with disease. and this is really why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like to give people actionable things, right? If someone you're listening and you're like, okay, I agree that this is a problem. I'm surrounded by people who are not so grateful, and I'm pessimist. Okay, I want to change. I want to be like Danish, or I want to be like Sean.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
I recommend this book. It's called The Power of Now.
Eckhart Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. He's the best.
Take a read,
Yeah.
and it'll just make you more grateful about
Yeah.
life. It'll bring you presence. It'll bring you sense of peace, sense of calm, and love towards yourself and towards others, and fill a
Yeah.
void.
Yeah. I'm reading right now a book. It's a workbook actually on self-compassion. And so, it's not like we're all, perfect people, but we're constantly working on ourselves. It's pick a park. I would say pick a park, take a read, right? Like get outside. Don't just read inside, your home or, somewhere that's an enclosed space or like, or even a coffee shop. Dude, go outside, be like along nature's lines, take a breath of fresh air. Your mood is so important to your quality of life, and to the hope that you have. It was Aghan the Fourth that wrote the book Where Hope Takes Root. And when you think about civil society and the advancement of civil society, it's really contingent upon s- being able to have the ethics and morals, the values that will embolden civilization. And a lot of that has to do with having hope in humanity, in each other, hope in policy, hope that civil society can exist through, feast, famine, whatever, wars. It doesn't matter what it is, but that we are connected, and that there is a cosmopolitan ethic that we can kind of imbibe with, so that we can see each other through and empower each other to have a better quality of life.
I love the word hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about it. Tell me what you think when you hear hope.
If you don't have hope, what's the point of waking up another day?
Yeah.
So hope is a very powerful thing, that if you're not feeling the motivation to wake up tomorrow, or when you wake up you don't feel the motivation to do anything, it all boils down to you don't have hope that tomorrow will be a better day for you or for people around you. And you can actually generate hope from within. It's something you can just shift into and switch on. Like, actually, I am hopeful. I believe tomorrow will be better. And because you believe, you can create. If you don't believe, you will not create. So it all starts from that belief, that hope that tomorrow will be better, and that's what's going to drive action. People think that you need motivation in order to do action, but it's actually the other way around. You do action and that creates motivation, and that leads to more action. You don't have to wait till a day when you feel motivated. No, you start doing the action today. You need motivation to go to the gym. Don't just wait for it.
Go to the gym.
Go to the gym, and that
Yeah.
creates the motivation.
Right, right. No, I completely agree. The behavior will create a feedback loop to start propagating more of that behavior. And it goes both ways. just as much as it is for negative behaviors, you could do the same thing for positive behaviors, right? So, it's when certain things become addictive, and not everything that's bad can be addictive. You can be addicted to self-reflection. So you can be addicted to eating healthy. You can be addicted to doing things that are actually going to move the needle in your direction, versus just having destructive habits that come from a place of trauma and hurt, and a lack of self-compassion, right? So that's really important. Danish, I can't thank you enough for being on the show tonight. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties that we had. To the audience, sorry for the technical difficulties. For some reason, this camera is just continuously turning off for no reason. So those who got to experience us over the radio, you guys had probably an amazing, flawless experience. We will make clips out of this, and so we'll be able to publish something much better at the end of it. But for everybody that was able to follow us on Facebook Live, thank you all so much for joining our show tonight. Danish, I can't thank you enough for being on the show with us as well.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So that was Danish Dhamani, Forbes 30 Under 30, founder of Orai. He is an absolute genius, and will be bringing the entire community to the future of AI, and helping us really understand what it means to have AI agents. My thanks